Skills allow your character to do a lot of interesting things both in and out of combat in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. This video will cover the different skills in Pathfinder and how they can be used. All characters start with training in a certain number of skills based on their class and background. You'll be able to increase the proficiency in a skill at level 3 and every odd level thereafter. You can increase a skill to expert once you have the ability to do so, but at level 7 you can then begin increasing skills to master level proficiency. The same goes for legendary proficiency after level 15. Rogues and investigators are of special note as they get to increase a skill's proficiency at every level, 2nd and beyond. There are 16 total different skills in Pathfinder in addition to the lore skill, which we'll talk about later. These are acrobatics, arcana, athletics, crafting, deception, diplomacy, intimidation, medicine, nature, occultism, performance, religion, society, stealth, survival, and thievery. Skills are covered on page 233 of the core rulebook, including what they are for. A table on page 235 will show the skill, the associated ability score, actions that can be taken without training, and those that can be taken while you have training in that particular skill. If you want more information about certain skills, definitely start by referencing that table in the core rulebook and reading that section of the rulebook as well. Let's start by talking about some specific skills, and we'll talk about athletics first. Athletics is the only strength-based skill of the lot and has a lot of combat-based use. Athletics allows you to grab, trip, shove, or disarm enemies. Athletics is also associated with jumping, swimming, and climbing, as well as attempting to force open locked objects. If you're looking for a character that's capable of doing a little bit more than simply striking your enemies, you can take advantage of characters by tripping them, which makes them flat-footed and eats up their actions as they need to use them to stand up. Next, let's talk about medicine. Medicine is very powerful, as treating wounds will provide most of your non-combat healing. You can also treat diseases and poisons or recall knowledge about related medical topics with the medicine skill. Treating wounds, though, is the core ability of this skill. You can roll to beat a DC, or difficulty class, based on the difficulty you choose based on your proficiency. 15 at trained, 20 at expert, 30 at master, 40 at legendary. You heal for 2d8s, or 8-sided dice, plus a little bit more for expert or higher level proficiencies, and even more if you crit. Having someone trained in medicine in your group is highly useful, and I would argue it may even be absolutely necessary to have at least one person who focuses on medicine as a skill. Next, we have Arcana, Religion, Nature, and Occultism. These 4 skills are pretty similar, and each are associated with one of the 4 spell traditions. That's Arcane, Divine, Primal, or Occult spellcasting, respectively. While each of these can be used to learn spells and identify magic items or spells, recall knowledge is one of the more common uses of these skills that are available to all 4. They can be used to identify associated things. Arcana could, for example, be used to identify magic writings or a dragon. Religion could be used to identify religious writings or a particular being that is divine in nature, like a devil or angel. Nature will apply to identifying beasts or elementals or things of a more primal nature. And occultism will deal with those more esoteric topics, cults and strange abominations or aberrations that you may encounter. Each of the caster classes will also be trained automatically in a skill associated with their spell tradition. So a wizard will be trained in Arcana, druids in nature, clerics in religion, and bards in occultism. Intimidation, deception, and diplomacy are next, and these are all charisma-based skills with some interesting uses. You have 3 actions to use during your turn in combat, and these skills will slot in nicely into a rotation for any of your characters. Intimidation will let you demoralize foes, frightening them to reduce their armor class, their saving throws, and their attack rolls. Deception will let you feint, possibly tricking a foe and knocking them off balance as you make them flat-footed for your next attack. And while these obviously have combat uses, all of them are still retaining their non-combat use of speaking and influencing characters that you may encounter throughout your adventure. Lores are a niche skill that is mainly used to recall knowledge or earn some income and make money during downtime. In theory, You can have a lore for just about anything you want, provided your GM approves it. But your background will generally provide you with one lore skill, such as legal lore, warfare lore, or a lore about a particular terrain, like mountains or forests. A good example of this, I have a gnome character that has the legal lore skill from his barrister background, but I also took a ancestry feat, Gnome Obsession, to gain Fey lore. So I have a gnome who will be both good at knowing about the law as well about knowing about Fey creatures like sprites or gremlins. Now, as a reminder, these skills are all useful in one way or another and can all be found again on page 233 or 235 for the table in the core rulebook. If you want more information about skills, certainly read up on the rulebook about them. But for right now, that's all you need to know. Good luck and have fun.